Rumor has it the Bears have found that guy at running back. We'll get into who that lucky guy is, and we'll get into his story right after this.
Let's go. Yo. Get up, nah, I ain't a quitter. Toss me the ball, I'm a really big hitter. Big picture, I'm a straight killer. Rising the song to the highest bidder. Got juice, got gas, I'ma move fast. New shoes, new tracks, like who's that? I'm new, come back, better than last. Yeah, it's a new me, never gonna look back. Never gonna look back. Cause damn, I was built to last. You move slow and I move fast. And that's facts.
Bears fans, what's good? What's good? Welcome to the Chicago Sports Podcast. I'm your host, D Nice, and we're going to get into an interesting rumor concerning the Chicago Bears and their quest to find a running back in the 2025 NFL Draft. I'm sure everyone wants to know who this lucky guy is, so let's get into it. Well, based off what we're hearing out here in these streets, that lucky guy is Treveyon Henderson. Personally, I think this is all depending on if we miss out on guys like Ashton Genty or Marion Hampton early on in this draft. I know y'all don't care what I think, so let's get into the man of the hour. Henderson, number 32, for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Sorry, let me fix it. The national champion Ohio State Buckeyes. In of 2024, he's 5'10", 210 pounds with a blazing 4.4 speed in the 40-yard dash. He hails from Hopewell, Virginia. For those that don't know, that's a small town right on the outside of the capital of Richmond. 4-year running back with OSU. Believe it or not, Henderson broke the freshman running back record for Ohio State in 2021 with 1,248 yards, 15 touchdowns. Also, 1,560 yards from scrimmage. That's no joke if you take a deep dive into the guys that's carried the rock with Ohio State over the years. And some of those guys are Heisman Trophy winners. So, very impressive if I do say so myself. Now, also, he had we talked about his excellent freshman year, and we lightly mentioned the fact that he's a national champion, and he finished last year with 1,016 yards, 10 TDs, which aided the Ohio State Buckeyes to winning the championship last year. He also had 1,300 yards for scrimmage. Nothing to sneeze at, especially if you mention the fact that he was RB2, or they did running back by committee with him and Junkins. Okay? Henderson is a guy that's changed the pace back from what I've seen, and I think the NFL guys would agree. Um, he has the ability to win in space due to his acceleration and quickness. He's a run to daylight type of back. Now this will be great, and I think the Bears brass will love this. He hasn't fumbled or lost a fumble since freshman year. What do you think about that? Hey, every coach I've ever heard that coaches football loves the fact that a guy understands the concept of ball security. And like I said, he hasn't fumbled since 2021. So that's impressive. That's something to look at. So what do you guys think the Bears figure, he can do for us? Me personally, I think he's a great RB2. And I think he has some characteristics like one of the guys that Detroit had last year, the guy from Georgia Tech and Gibbs, with the acceleration and the quickness and the ability to win in space. He also has the uncanny ability, well, the ability that hasn't been shown on his resume You may not see it on his resume, but he's excellent catching the ball out of the backfield. Due to the way that Ohio State plays, you didn't see a heavy dose of that. But when he had his opportunities to catch the ball out of the backfield and make big plays, he definitely did that. Now, let's get into a little bit more of Henderson because, like I said before, he had an excellent freshman year and an excellent senior year. But those 2 years in between, he was kind of banged up with injuries. I believe that's 2022. He missed 5 games due to a broken foot. In 2023, he missed 3 games based off of ribs. Injury. He had a rib injury. So, can we look at him as injury prone? I wouldn't necessarily say that because if you play football long enough, things will happen. But those are 2 things that maybe the guys up top would kind of question due to the fact that he had a great beginning and a great end, but that part in the middle is empty. But I don't really know how empty it is because he still maintained almost 6 yards a carry in 23, and in 22 he averaged 5.3 yards a carry with 6 scores in 22 and 11 touchdowns in 23 rushing the football. And he still in 23 and 10 games still almost had 1,000 yards. He finished with 926 yards and 1,155 yards from scrimmage. So not bad due to, his season being cut short with the rib issue. Now, my personal opinion when it comes down to running backs and anyone we pick in this draft is fit. If Ben Johnson feels like he's a fit, then so do I. I trust the guys up top to do the right thing. Now, he's definitely one of those guys. I don't think he can be considered a RB1, a guy that can get you 20, 22 carries a game. I don't think he's one of those guys. There's not many of those guys running around the NFL anymore anyway. Now, the funny thing about it, in 2024, he finished with 1,300 yards with 11 TDs while never having more than 12 carries a game. And he never had a 100-yard game either, rushing the football. So to have 1,300 yards without getting more than 12 carries or getting more than 100 yards in the game all year is pretty impressive. That means he's really eating up yards, per touch. You're really getting more bang for him. He's being very efficient, Mike. Let me just say that. I think that helps. I think that helps us tremendously. Anything that we can do to take pressure off of Caleb, running the football always helps a quarterback. I'm dead set on getting a running back in the first round. In the first round, if you ask me. But if we miss out on a guy in the first round, I think Treveyon Henderson is a very viable candidate, to come to Chicago and do the job. Because I think Ben Johnson is smart enough to have a plan for him. And also, being playing under the tutelage of a guy like Eric Bieniemy, he's going to learn a lot. He can learn some things in protecting his body as well. And I think this could be a good thing for us. What do you guys think? Is there anyone else that you guys are concerned? Is there any other concerns that you guys may have with Treveyon Henderson? Or is it who's the guy that you guys want? That's what I want to know. Now, Ohio State, Treveyon and Junkins were blessed enough to run behind an excellent offensive line. They ran a heck of a system there at Ohio State. And the Bears interviewed, during the head coach's search, the Bears interviewed one of the greatest players to ever don the Ohio State helmet, Heisman Trophy winner Eddie George. Eddie George spoke very highly of Treveyon Henderson, also spoke highly of Junkins, but I do believe that interview was to really get intel on those 2 running backs more than it was to get Eddie George a head coaching spot. The Bears also interviewed Ohio State offensive line coach when we were looking for our offensive line coach. And I think in this interview, that O-line coach shared information about these running backs as well. So it's going to be a very thought-provoking subject, and I think this thing has some wheels. I do think that this is a very interesting. The Bears are interested in this guy because they may have fear that they may not get the top two guys, the top two running backs that's on the board. And I think Treveyon Henderson fits the bill. He can be running back too behind he and Swift they have a great running back combo. And then watching film on Henderson, you can see how hard he runs. You can see how hard he runs. It looks as if he's more than just a blazer. That he runs with a lot of passion. He runs with a lot of heart. I seen an interview on him. He's a very grounded guy. He walks in faith, and he has a very good attitude. I was really impressed by him. I never knew much. I didn't know much of him as far as his personality before this, but taking a dive into him, I really seen some things, from a character standpoint that I really like, and I think it'd be very good for the Bears. And because we all seen that the Bears are very high on character, they're not going to draft a guy that looks like that has the look or they hear that's going to disrupt the harmony of a locker room. And I think that's something to really respect, regardless of how great the player is. If he comes in with the wrong attitude, things have a tendency to kind of trickle down through locker rooms, and we don't need that, especially with our first year head coach and our second year QB. So, you guys share with me what you guys think. Share with me in the comments what you guys may think about, this edition, if we're able to grab them. And with that, peace up, bear down.